Good afternoon, distinguished guests, students, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Hong Kong Design Institute. My name is Connie, a graduate of advertising program, and I will be your MC of today's special event. We are truly privileged to have a distinguished guest with us today, Mr. Michele De Lucchi, the renowned Italian architect and designer, to share his insights from his iconic projects and designs under the theme, The Equation. Before we begin the lecture, we are also pleased to have Mr. Carmelo Figala, the Consul General of Italy in Hong Kong and Macau, grace us with a warm message to kickstart our event. Let us welcome Mr. Figala.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the warm welcoming, and of course, thank you, Mr. Michele De Lucchi, to be in Hong Kong today and to be with us and to give us the chance of listening to you today and learning more about design, about architecture, and about yourself. I'm very honored and privileged today to represent Italy in this fantastic venue and auditorium. It is not the first time because the cooperation that we have established with the Hong Kong Design Institute is solid and strong. And the occasion today offers the possibility of thanking and express gratitude again to Hong Kong Design Institute, to the principal and to all the staff for the attention that has been given in the last months. And when I say last months, it means more than a year, at least since I'm here in September 2022, to Italy, to design, to architecture, to fashion, and to all related subjects. Today, very few information and very few things I would like to say. First of all, we are organizing a mission, supporting a mission of Hong Kong officials, industry, political, and designers to Italy next week. Italy is cooperating, is going to be a partner country of the Fashion Summit, which is going to happen and is scheduled in November this year. And next week, a mission of the organizers is visiting Milan with an intense schedule with meetings with Italian counterparts, schools, designers, industry, and political. We are very proud of it, and we are really looking forward to the event that again is going to take place in November. And then we are working hard in order to promote design. I cannot disclose yet something that we are going to most probably organize next year in 2025. But again, we are really looking forward to consolidate our cooperation with local institutions and with Hong Kong, considering that Hong Kong is really, oh, I did something wrong, and I changed it. I didn't want to do that, but I better keep the hands here. Okay. Yes, in the as I was saying, the field of design. But of course, today the most important thing that I would like to mention is the gratitude I was saying to Michele De Lucchi. We are working on an initiative which is meant to promote Made in Italy. This is something that is happening over everywhere in the world where Italy is represented. Italian consulates and Italian embassies worldwide are promoting Made in Italy within a specific initiative. In Hong Kong, we are doing it, and we asked, our project consists on a promotion of Made in Italy through video. We are going to ask, we are asked already, students to participate to a contest, and the final goal is to produce short video, 1 minute and 1 minute and a half, and the topic of the video is Made in Italy as such. We are looking forward to that again. The contest will be over in September, And maybe we are going to show all our videos here in this fantastic hall and auditorium if Hong Kong Design Institute would like to accept our proposal. But when we talk, I mentioned that because when we talk about Made in Italy, of course, we cannot avoid mentioning Michele De Lucchi, whose name is linked to major brands, Italian brands such as Artemide, Olivetti, first of all, Piaggio, Poste Italiane, and many others. And I discovered that, as well, I didn't know that your name is linked to locations linked to Italian culture, Italian art, such as Scuderia del Quirinale and Palazzo delle Esposizioni in Rome, and Fondazione Cini in Venice. And something that I discovered again and I didn't know is that your name is linked again to Domus magazine. This is something important because we work together with Domus magazine in Hong Kong for the Italian Design Day. And in a few weeks, the final goal of the cooperation should be number of Domus magazine on Hong Kong architecture. A few months ago, we went around Hong Kong with the chief editor of Domus magazine, and he had the opportunity of meeting architects and builders and developers. He was explained about few projects about already built in Hong Kong, and we hope that the project will be finalized by June. So one of the first things that we will do is to offer a copy of the newly printed magazine to you, and I hope this can be a useful thing to consider as an example of relations, of building relations between Italy and Hong Kong. No more, I think I was too long actually, and I excuse myself, but the very last thing that I would like to say is that a big expression of gratitude to Novalis and to William Figliola, because without William and without his team, maybe probably the presence of Michele De Lucchi here would not have been possible. So thank you, grazie, for supporting. I'd say that. Thank you all for attending. As I always say, time in Hong Kong is something very rare and precious, and the fact that you are here, so many people, so many students, so many people interested in the topics that we are going to listen today is something rewarding for me and for Italy. As a representative of Italy, it's very important for me to say that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ficara, for enlightening us with the opening remarks. Without further ado, now may we invite Mr. De Lucchi to come to the stage and share his influential philosophy and practice with us. Let us welcome Mr. De Lucchi.
Thank you very much. I feel very happy and honored to lecture to you about my equation that is about my thinking, my theories, my profession, my passions, my dreams. You know, passions and dreams are very important for designers, architects, and creative people, generally speaking, because without dreams, we cannot foresee the future. We cannot foresee what we really love, what we really want for ourselves, and especially for others. So this equation that I'm telling you, honestly, I tell you very, very simply. I did because I was lecturing in Harvard in Boston. You know, this is a very famous school. And I thought, I cannot go to Harvard and to talk about sustainability. They know already what sustainability is. They know already what what we should do. They are the most excellent mind in the world, so I cannot go there and to say sustainability is important. It's very, very banal, very logic. So I thought I have to create something new to talk about sustainability. So this is what I'm bringing you today. Is an equation. Is no longer talking about what is sustainable and what is not sustainable. I think we know what it is sustainable. But what is important to keep in mind is that everything should be well balanced. Everything should be very, very much balanced between our need, nature, the resources that we have, and the resources that we know very well will be not lasting forever. So I created this equation. You know what is an equation. An equation is done by one part, one equal, and one other part. And in every equation, there is one unknown factor. The unknown factor. And this is very important. An equation is to talk about sustainability with an unknown factor. And we have every time to discover what the unknown factor is. And the advantage of talking about an equation is that we have to understand and to look for always for the unknown part of the equation. So my equation is architecture, and when I talk about architecture, I talk about everything. I talk about the human environment. Architecture is, in this case, is not simply a profession, but is the need of human being to create the most appropriate environment that is very efficient for human evolution, and very, very careful about what it does to the environment. So architecture equal environmental installations. So everything that we do is an environmental installation. Especially what we do in the future is an environmental installation. Multiplied by Q, and the Q is the unknown factor. Environmental installation is important. We have to be careful that eternity is not part of this world. We cannot build for eternity. That everything that we do as a time, a lifetime, and this lifetime is to be considered as the most important part of what we do, of what we build, of what we produce. And the quotient, this unknown factor, what it is, we have to discover by ourselves. And you know who is responsible of this unknown factor? We are. Human beings are the most important unknown factor of the world. This is it's very important to be careful about that, to be conscious about that. We are responsible of the changement. We are responsible for the transformation of the world. Nature will survive in any case, even without humans. But we are humans, and we are part of the nature, and we are responsible for the nature. And this is happening since a short time. It has not been always like that. We have our ancestors, they were not responsible for nature because nature was much more important than not human beings. But now, you know that the artificial world, the weight of the artificial world in the planet, excluding water, now is bigger than not the natural world. The anthropological stuff that is on the planet today is bigger than not plants or the other living stuff that are in the world today. So we are responsible for that. And now, if we want to live in a natural environment in the future, we have to be careful about that. And so this is the equation. And now I will tell you better about how to apply this equation, and I will show you how I applied this equation in my work. But before that, I want to talk a little bit about my life, my experience, my career, if you want. Why I arrived to the point to create an equation. And this is me. This is me. You can see that is me. This is me more than 40 years ago, maybe 50 years ago. Yes, 50 years ago. Exactly 50 years ago. Yes, in 1973. This is me, and I have such a strange costume, such a strange cloth, because I wanted to tell, to express the idea that the designers, architects, product design, interior design, everybody that is dealing with the human environment is responsible of the human environment, as well as generals in the army, as well as the historical generals of Napoleon time in Europe. They were responsible for all the soldiers. We are responsible for the life of other people. And this has been very important for my life, because I wanted always to know and to understand which is the role of the architect, what we have to do as architects, as designers, as artists as well. Because if we don't know what we have to do, we will never be able to feel our competence and our way of thinking, and to be able to really express the best of ourselves. I began my career in the 70s. And I tell you, the decades are very important for our professions. I don't know why. I just only can say about that, but I don't know why. But the decades are very important, because each decade is a time, is a period of time that we keep inside our mind, and we use to understand and to talk about the past. You know, we always speak about the design or the movies or the cars of the 60s, or the 70s, or the 80s, and so on and so on. So I began in the 70s, and in the 70s, the most important events of these decades was radical architecture. Radical architecture is something that happened in Italy. I was a student at the time, and was the kind of architecture that was born after the student revolutions of the 68. And you know, in the 68, especially in Europe and in the States, we had a kind of students' new way of participating to the life, to the cultural life of the time. Yes, we call this way of thinking to look to the spirit of the time, to look for the zeitgeist. You know, this German word zeitgeist means the ghost of the time. The ghost of the time is a beautiful way to think to something that is on the air, that we understand, everybody of us understand, but nobody is really able to speak about, because the spirit of the time, the ghost of the time, is something that we perceive. We know that we are living today, but it's very difficult to understand which are the topic of the time, which are the problem of the time. There's so many things passing by. But as a responsible of the human environment, we have to be careful to grasp the spirit of the time. Otherwise, we We are working out of time, and this is not possible. This is wrong. We are in this time, and we have to work in this time. And we have to bring in our projects the topic of our time, the problems of our times, the items of our times. So in the 80s, I was graduated in Florence, and in the 80s, I went to Milano, and in Milano, I was so lucky to be in the middle of a very interesting movement, art movement called Memphis. And I was one of the founder of Memphis. And Memphis was very interesting because it was the iconography of the 80s, was the way of transferring the idea of the 80s in the world and in the times. Memphis was yes, I can call it a movement. Was somebody called a style, but I don't like to say that Memphis was a style because it was much more than not a style. It was a time in which we were very, very positive, very, very much optimistic, and was the beginning of the electronic age. You know, the first computer, when Steve Jobs did the first Mac, the Lisa, you remember the computer Lisa? You probably don't remember but I remember very well. The first personal computer in the world was in the 80s. It was in 81. In the 81, Steve Jobs was working in his garage to produce the first personal computer. So after that, after the 80s, the 90s. And in the 90s, the times they were not so much optimistic as in the 80s. And the spirit of the time was changing. And I did this company called Produzione Privata. This is still existing. And you see, from the time of Memphis, of such exuberant, such as exaggerated, such as extravagant way of designing, we passed through a time in which design was much more intimate, serious, quiet. And with Produzione Privata, we did several products, and even now we design products for Produzione Privata, just catching the spirit of the time. In the 2000, I started to work with my hands. I was already 50, I was already 50, and I understood that you can do much more if you work with your hands. And that is much more efficient. Hands are wonderful tools. And you know that hands are the tools that is closer to our mind than not any other tools. So I started to work with my hands, and I started to understand that working with my hands, I could be much more free to make mistakes, free to do to be wrong, but very, very attentive to repair immediately to my mistakes. Because what is wonderful about mistakes is not that you do mistakes, but that you can repair immediately from the mistakes. And every time that you do a mistake and that you are able to repair to your mistake, you gain a competence. You gain something that you know and that you will make mistakes again. Yes, that's happened past decades, in the 10th. And I was 60 in the time, and I decided that it was time to decide what will happen about my practice, my office, when I will be no longer able to work and to provide my contribute. And I changed the name of my office. And I changed my way of working, my mental set. And I changed the name of the office, and it was no longer the office of Michele De Lucchi, but was the circle. The circle. AMDL, that means Architetto Michele De Lucchi, my initiative, my name, and circle, the circle. Now my office is called the circle. Everybody call my office the circle. Not as the practice, not the office, not the studio, the circle. Because working together today is meaningful if we are able to create a community, if we are able to create a circle of people, a circle of competencies. And we are not only architects and designers and graphic designers, not only model makers or video makers, but we include in our office also competencies like psychoanalysts or neurologists or physicians or scientists of any species, because what is very important today is to bring together the knowledge. If knowledge is simply specific knowledge, yes, it's very helpful because we can go deep in the researches, we can go deep in explorations, but we don't understand how we can use our knowledge. And you know how much important it is today to understand how to use our knowledge. And knowledge is something specific, but brought together and brought to the circle. And that's why the circle is the circle. And in the 20s, that means a few years ago, I began to work with the circle in new possible projects. And our idea was, you know, every time that we do a project, every time that we design a product, every time that we design a building, every time that we design an interior, it takes usually 1, 2, 3 years. For buildings, it takes also 4 or 5 years to be built. But we are living in a time of such rapid transformations that in 5 years, everything changed. And we are no longer able to foresee what will happen. And we thought, how can we do to design buildings, to design products, not for tomorrow, but for a time coming in 10 years, in 20 years, in 30 years. Not too many years, not 100 years, only in 1 decade or 2 decades. How can we design something that is fulfilling the need of people in forthcoming years? And we designed the Earth stations. Earth stations, that means stations for the planet Earth. Stations, because as I told you, we have to design something that is a station, is something that we can reach to go somewhere else. A station is not just one place that will stay forever, but it is a place that we can create to understand our destination. We go to the station to know where we want to go. And that is the problem. Where do we want to go? Not me, all of us. Where do we want to go? And the Earth stations are a number of families, if you want, called interactors, many hands, education stations, epi stations. I will tell few words more later. But now, this is the year of the equation, and that is what I'm bringing you today, the equation. I tell you, everybody is free to create its own equation, but should obviously keep in mind that everything is balanced and that we have an unknown factor. For example, This is a project that I did in Georgia. Georgia is a wonderful country, south of Soviet Union, south of Russia. And I tell you, it is a wonderful country. And it is south of Caucasus Mountains. Is a biblical, is a mythological country, because a lot of mythological stories have been just located in Georgia. And Georgia is the country in which they invented wine. And this is important because wine that is today is produced everywhere in the world was produced the first time in Georgia. Well, in Georgia, once I was called by the president of Georgia, and he called me and he told me, I want to create a monument to peace. A monument to peace. And I thought, that's very interesting, very interesting topic. And he gave me a piece of the park, the city park in Tbilisi. Tbilisi is the capital city of Georgia. I'm Georgian now, because of this project. Now I got the Georgian citizenship, and I thought, yes, it's nice. It's a good idea to design a symbol of peace. But what can I do? I do a lady with open arms like that. I'm not able. I'm not such a talented architect to design a monument to peace. I thought the only way I can do is to design a bridge, because in this area it's just on the river, and I thought it's a beautiful idea if the president of Georgia accepts the idea that instead to do a monument, I do a bridge. Because the bridge is the most efficient symbol for peace. How can we create peace if we are not able to build up a bridge between ourselves and others, between our opinion and other opinion, between our culture and the other cultures, without thinking that the needs that we have are the same needs that the others have. So I went to the president of Georgia and I told him, well, I think that the best possible monument to peace is to design a bridge. And he said, yes, great, okay, but you have to do a bridge, a covered bridge, like the Italian bridges, because in Italy we have some bridge that is covered. And I created this bridge that is a pedestrian bridge that is not an infrastructure bridge. It's just a bridge as a symbol. Or in the Expo 2015 in Milano, they invited me to design the main pavilion, and in 2015 was a time in which we were very much aware about the topic of nature, and so I did this pavilion that is like a landscape, a hilly landscape, and it's done, as you see, in wood. And this was, for me, the most efficient way to talk about nature. Or this building that has been done just last year, and is a building for a company, and is based on the idea of temporality. Because, as I told you before, in Italy we have a lot of buildings from the history that are very important, beautiful, very, very, very much witness of their time. But we can no longer build something that is using space in a eternal way. We have to think that our next generation will need something more, something that we cannot cover the surface of the planet with something that stay there eternally. So we have to create buildings in a way that they can be replaced. And that's also why I love to design especially pavilions. Or this one, that is a pavilion as well, that has been designed in south of Italy for events. We do conferences and speeches and parties, festivals. Parties are very important because I thought that parties are just to enjoy, but parties are very important to bring people together and to interact one to the other. Or to do buildings where you have to express the idea of technology. We are living in a time in which technology is fundamental to evolve the world, to evolve our capability to use the world. Technology is the most important evolution item that we have. And it's very important also to express, to show what technology is also in the buildings. Or this is a circle, yes, you see, and there is a building that is done like a circle, and this is an hotel. An hotel that has been created just on the top. It is under construction now, but it has been designed for the top of the hill overlooking Kobe in Japan. You see Kobe now. Kobe and Osaka. Osaka is behind that. And is a building that is replacing an old hotel that has been demolished after the earthquake in 1996. It was a very heavy earthquake in Japan, in Kobe especially. Well, this hotel has been designed in a way that you can enjoy nature from outside the building and from inside the building as well. So, you know, the Kansai area is a very dense population area, very polluted, and this is on the top of the mountains overlooking the Kansai Bay, the Bay of Osaka, and enjoying nature as well. Instead, this was a pavilion designed for a bank. And this is an office hotel, an office building, because it is an office building concept as a pavilion, and you see is done in wood, and this is a bank office because the banks, they need to create a social relation with their clients. Now, especially now that we are working with home banking and dealing with our clients, especially by internet, by all the technological stuff. Banks, they need to create a touch together with their clients and to show that they are not machines, but they are humans dealing with humans as well, even if they are a bank. This as well is a bank pavilion. Is for a pavilion that had been created for Intesa Sanpaolo and other major Italian banks, and that has been created for communication, because the bank, the same kind of problems that they had was for UniCredit, that is a bank, and Intesa Sanpaolo is a bank as well. But it's very important to say that as Italian, we have, you know, Italy has probably one of the most unbelievable historical heritage in buildings and in sculpture, in art. And now our problem is how to use this heritage, because we cannot use only old buildings as museums, but we have to transform our architectural heritage in something working. You know, every building that is not underused will collapse in a very short time. And this is a 500 years old building, a Renaissance building that has been transformed in a hotel. Or this one is an hotel. Excuse me, it's an office building for a German company. And you know, German companies are supposed to be very reliable, very solid, very tough. And I created a building that is looking like a trunk that is rooted in the ground and has this shape like a tree trunk. Again, this is a heritage problem. Is an interior design for the most important art library in Europe, and this has been created inside a monk. How do you say? In an island in Venice. Come si dice convento? Monastery, sorry. Monastery. An old monastery of in an island in Venice, and this has been transformed in a cultural space, in a library for art and for art historians. Or, as well, very important, memory. Because when I say that we should design for changing time, I don't want to say that we are no longer related to the past, and that because we have to keep the memory of what we did. And museums are very important for that. This is probably the most important museum in Germany, in Berlin. It's called the Neues Museum. The Neues Museum has been done already 14, 15 years ago. And it's a museum where is collected all the historical items, exhibit items from Germany. Yes, and there is also something that belongs to our habits, to our mind, to our traditions. And I've been invited some years ago to design a chapel, a Christian chapel, on the mountains up of Munich in Germany, in Bavaria. Bavaria is a very beautiful country that is overlooking Europe. From the Alps, in some part of the Alps over Bayer, you can see the big plan of Europe. You can see the city of Munich and so on. And this is a chapel that has been created to do a step forward. The idea of Christian chapels, because this small construction is empty. Inside there is nothing inside. This is just a round window overlooking the landscape that you see back there, and the symbol of Christianity is in the middle of this nature, because what is always important to remember is that what we have to contemplate, what we have to believe to, is fundamentally nature. And nature is very important, and also our religion is part of the nature. This is one of the most recent projects, and is a museum for a Swiss company called Novartis. Is a pharmaceutical company, and they produce medicines. And this is a museum for medicines. And just to explain you what does it mean to to understand the time in which we are living. We did this museum with a special skin. The museum is covered with a kind of skin, a technological skin, that is photovoltaic skin, that we collect energy in the days, and in the night we project the images that the scientists see inside the microscope. The scientists that are studying illness, they're studying virus, they're studying all the micro reality. They look in the microscope and they see something that is not part of what we are usually see. And so we project what the scientists, they look on the microscope in this large surface of the roof. And what you see there is just the texture of our body, of our tissue, that are shown during the night to everybody. I tell you, to be architect, to be designer, to be product designer, interior designer, to be graphic designer, to be video maker, to be writer, because my profession is also to write about architecture, has to do with art. Art is a very important part of our culture, of every human being. Every human being has a relation with art. Because art is the most creative and free way to think to the future. Art is just what we need to foresee the future. Without art, we will be not able to find out what we really want, what we really dream about the future. And so I did several artworks, especially in outdoor. And this is a park on the Dolomite areas, where I built this wall that you see is an open wall. It's not a wall to close something, but it's a wall that is a free entrance. Or this will be the pavilion for Scandinavian countries in Osaka 2025, and is dedicated to the future society. And this is the topic of Expo Osaka 2025, is about looking to in which society we would like to live. Very quickly, just to show you some of the Earth stations. These are the Earth stations that are dedicated to human interactions. As I told you, it's very important to keep open our capability to cooperate. Without cooperation, our humanity will not survive and will not evolve. So, these are just buildings that has been designed to keep people together, to bring people inside. They are temporary buildings that can be built everywhere, can be built in the nature, can be built in the cities, can be built on the water, on the mountains, and so on. Another family of Earth stations are dedicated to craftsmanship. Craftsmanship is something that we should keep, because without craftsmanship, as I told before, we cannot make a mistake. If a craftsman makes a mistake, he can repair immediately. If a big industry makes a mistake, it's a big problem, because under an imprenditorial point of view, every mistake is a big damage for the company. I'm going too quickly. Another family is about education. As I always say, today education is very important. I'm very happy to be here in this Hong Kong Design Institute, because education is fundamental. We can trust in the future only if we are able to educate people for the future, and only and only if we understand that there's a lot of stuff that we should not do again, and there's a new stuff that we should start to do. Is our mental habits is fundamental for the sustainability. So these are education space where that we designed in a way to give to the new generation and also to the old generation a way to understand where we are and what we want. Education is not only for pupils, for young people. Education should be for people like me. I should be educated because I have so many wrong habits coming from the past that I should unlearn before going to learn something new. I've been educated in the 50s. In the 50s of last century, you can imagine what was a time in which everything was different. I'm a so-called boomer, so you understand how different was the reality in the 50s last century. So today, education should be a system in which we bring together generations, in which we bring together people coming from different ages, and in which we face how to use knowledge. We have a lot of knowledge today that we are not able to use. We are not. What is more important is to learn what to do with all the fantastic discoveries of scientists and the fantastic application of technologies. So another family is about, we call happy stations, and is about how to live in a happy communities, in happy group of people in which we can share experiences. That as well is very important for me, that we bring together all our passions. We bring together also our hobbies, because if we love to play music, it's important that we meet people that love the same. They play music, and to play music all together. Or if we love to grow tomatoes or vegetables, to stay with people that love tomatoes and love to grow vegetables, and so on and so on. I will show you a short movie about a satellite station in a few minutes. But what I do today, you will ask me probably, you're asking yourself what this guy is doing this moment. Well, I'm doing this house. This is a small house that I'm designing for myself. It's the house of my, if one day I will retire, I will go to live here. And it's an house in a beautiful place. It's beautiful on the Lago Maggiore, that is a lake on north of Italy, and is done without any cement, without any glue, without any plastic or artificial material coming from oil, but it's only wood and stone. Yes, and metal joint. And it's a building that I do as an experiment, because I want to see what is possible to do today in terms of using natural material. And I did a lot of researches about how we can use wood without destroying the world, without destroying the forest, and how to use wood in a successful way, in a way that wood is also a wonderful temperature and acoustic protector. And I show you these are the foundations of this house, and the foundation has been done with the rock of the same rock that stay in this area, and it just rocks on the ground. I told you, without any concrete, without any cement. You see from down. And this is actually how it is the house today. I did the foundations, and I'm going to do this platform to build up the house. Yeah, I was very much engaged also in product design. I told you about Memphis in the 80s. In the Memphis time, the quotient, the unknown factor is extravagancy. We were very much worried to be extravagant, to be new, to be different. And we wanted to create something totally innovative under a figurative point of view, under a physical point of view. And so for 10 years, for all the 80s, we designed extravagant products. When we work for, I did projects for the industry to design products that are very efficient, able to perform in the best possible way. This is one lamp that I designed in '87, so many years ago, but it's still very successful on the market. This product is one of the last products I designed for Olivetti. Olivetti was the Italian company for electronics, and we tried to be even there as much exuberant as possible. This was the transformation factor. Or for Alessi, this is a coffee machine. It's a coffee machine that should transmit the sense of simplicity that we should have at home with our objects, with our tools, with our appliances. I told you about produzione privata. Produzione privata for me is where I do experiments and where I can use the capability of a producer and the capability of a company to experiment something that we want to check if it is working or not, if it is marketable or not. And this is the products that I design, that I test at home. This is also my house in Angera, where I live. I design, as you see, I design lamps, lighting, and tables, and armchairs, and I design stools. This is a stockable stool called Bisonte. Or I design another lamp, a sofa, silhouette of trees, bases. Everything is based on the idea that I should renovate my environment continuously. I should renovate the lifestyle of my house continuously. Well, this is me resting after so much work, but even when I'm resting, I'm making drawings, and I always keep with me some piece of paper, you see. And it's the same piece of paper that I have there. I'm going to finish now my lecture. I invite you to see this movie. This movie is called Architecton. It's a movie that has been directed by Viktor Kossakovsky. Viktor Kossakovsky is a Russian movie maker that escaped from Russia several years ago. And he did a movie about the history of architecture, about how architecture transformed in the past 2 millennia. So it's a very interesting movie. I was happy to assist Victor to do this movie, and I'm part of the. Actually, I'm the protagonist of this movie, so I invite you to see. It will be. I don't know if it is already in Hong Kong, but it is going to come in the next month. Yes, as I told you, I also writing. I write on a media, a social media. This kind of direct social media that is called Substack. If you want to follow my way of thinking and my way, the topics that I face, you should go to Substack, and is a free subscription there. Now, I want to end my lecture with a short movie. Is a movie about the satellite station. So satellite station is the last family of Earth stations that I did. Is about a nice concept, I believe. Is a concept in which I dream that architecture, instead than using nature, is fertilizing nature. Instead than to make arid the landscape, is fertilizing the nature. So I invite you to watch this short movie, and later we can talk about. We can talk better. Un fertile miscuglio di sostanze organiche che fa crescere rigogliosa la foresta. Gli alberi alimentano l'humus e l'humus alimenta gli alberi. Perché non pensare che anche l'architettura possa essere fertile? Che gli edifici dell'uomo alimentino il terreno e il terreno alimenti gli edifici? Le satellite stations sono piccole costruzioni, pensatoi, serre, palchi e padiglioni, costruite in legno che con il tempo tornano humus. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. De Lucchi, for your wonderful sharing. Please remain on the stage. We will now move on to the panel discussion, and we are also honored to have Mr. De Lucchi to join this session. Mr. De Lucchi, please proceed to the seating area. Thank you. Let us also give a warm welcome to the panelists. They are Mr. Steve Learn, BBS, Vice Chairman of the Board of Directors of Hong Kong Design Center. Ms. Alice Fertagangeli, Director of Italian Cultural Institute in Hong Kong. Dr. Lei Liang Ong, Principal of Hong Kong Design Institute. Let us welcome them.
Right, good afternoon all. Thank you for attending today's presentation and the talk by Michele. I find it very inspiring, particularly in Hong Kong Design Institute, where we have lots of design students and staff. Is very highly related. I'm also very pleased and happy to hear your journey in terms of your career path in decades, and also giving a lot of example, real life application in the letting us have a better understanding of the equation. So a lot of cues there. Now, starting from the equation, I would like to ask the first question in terms of the cue. Now, in a lot of your example, you have one word, for the cue. But in real life situation, we know projects have limitations, constraints in terms of space, in terms of time, a budget, for example. So how do you balance? I mean, when you have a new project, there may be a lot of cues to consider. So how do you balance that, and what are the challenges if you are facing with these projects?
Thank you for this question. Yes, it's true. This is the most challenging part of the profession, to understand which is the real topic of the project, which is the real challenge of the project, and this is very much part of the relation with the clients. The relation with the client is very important. Is very you can do nothing if we do not create a good relation with your clients and with the meaning of what you do. If the meaning is the same, if you can find out a good interaction with the client and to be able to understand which is the real value that you want to achieve, this is the best way to create the building for the future.
The other question is about the AMDC circle that you have formed. You also talk about inviting different people, experts, designers from different fields to come in to work together. Now, in HKDI, we have over 20 design programs spanning not only from architecture, landscape, but fashion, digital media, communication design. We also have been promoting multidisciplinary collaboration. So students come together to work on a project, they learn from each other. Share with us your experience in setting up this circle, in terms of sharing experience, because I really want to learn from you and see how we could best implement this in the institution.
Yes. I have to say that I was very impressed once that in a lecture, in a conference, I've seen a psychologist, just a therapist in a psychoanalysis, a therapist that he was saying, and he was very convincing about the fact that if he is able to change the mentality of his patient, he can make this person again free without troubles. So that means that if you change your mentality, if you change your way of looking to reality, you can change reality. That is fantastic. You can think how much power we have in our mind, how much wonderful capability we have as human beings to change reality, changing our way of looking at reality. So I thought that we should, when we design something, we do not design only for the market, or we do not design only for efficiency, or we do not design only for selling in a better way, but we design something that has the power to change our way of living, our behavior. A designer, an architect, every kind of creative person has the power to change the habits of people. We do not design only products, we do not design only solid stuff. We don't design only wall or chairs or tables or stages. We design the behavior of people. We influence, we inspire the behavior of people. And when we know that we have this responsibility, we know that everything that we design has a value and has a responsibility, as a quantity of consciousness that we have to apply to everybody's life.
Well, I agree with you. The individual mentality is
Yes.
very important because it drives our motive, it drives our energy, and so perhaps
yes,
we should start from staff about our mentality so that we could influence the students. Is there any other challenges, in terms of implementing this circle? In terms of inviting people in the practice that they have to behave differently?
Yes, we have to bring together technological competences and human intelligence. Our big challenge today is really to use in an efficient and wise way all the knowledge that we have. We have a lot of potentiality, but very often we use in a wrong way.
Thank you. Alice, I think we have gone through a very fruitful presentation. Is there anything from your side, as from Italy,
Yes.
cultural side, you would like to ask?
Thank you for inviting me. And I've been studying the concept of the Earth stations in the past few days, and many thoughts came to me, actually. I would like to understand more this concept, starting from the point that many of them are like placed and set up in scenarios that are very far from the urban patterns, for example. So in spots that must be reached by people in order to live an experience that is out of ordinary. So I would like to understand better the relationship between these Earth stations and the urban patterns, because more than objects, they seem to me like ecosystems, so maybe like living organisms that can have like cells, membranes. And I was wondering if you thought about them like closed systems or open systems. So not only people, when they enter this Earth station, change, but also the environment around the Earth station can be changed by the fact that people interact with the ecosystem. This is the first topic.
Thank you. It's a very interesting question. I tell you. You know, in 2050, more than 90% of the population of the world will live in the cities, and there will be urbanized citizens. Today is 75% of world population is in the cities. So the urbanization will go on, will increase in the future, and so I thought that it's very important to keep a good balance between the natural environment and the urban environment. I believe very much in the cooperation of humanity, and cooperation is coming in the cities. 99% of the patents of the world, 99%, that is almost everything, of the patents are done from people or from companies in the cities. So that means that the cities are the most fertile environment for cooperation, and this is important. But as well, it's important also the nature, is important the natural environment, and it's important that we always keep the environment open to human use. But what your question is arriving to my mind is about just the importance of environment. And you say, we ourselves, one of the most advanced researchers in genetics, and genetics is the science that is studying cells. It's called epigenetics. And epigenetics, you're probably aware about that, is all the researches that are done about how cells react to the environment. And there are wonderful experiments that show that the cells, even the most basic staminal cells, are reacting to the environment. And if they have the choice to move between one environment and the other one, they always prefer the most lightful and happy environment, if I can say happy. That means that we are cells. I think we are 75,000 trillions of cells in our body, and every cell of our body is able to react to the environment. So you can imagine how much sensible we are to the environment. And this is quite obvious because we know that if we are living in a dark, oppressive environment, we are much more depressive and sad by ourselves than not people that is living in a lightful, optimistic environment. So environment is very important. When we design an environment, we have to be careful that the environment is influencing the life of others, the life of all the organisms that are based on cells as we are. And that's when I discovered that there's a great scientist called Bruce Lipton that is the most successful divulgator about epigenetics. When I got in touch with Bruce Lipton, I was very impressed because I thought, just what I do is so important. What I design is so important for the life of other people. And I should be aware of that. I should not be careful about the market, what is sellable, what is not sellable. It's not enough. We have to be careful about how the cells of of the people that are living with us are perceiving the environment.
Thank you. Another topic is the fact that it seems like all these earth stations are put in the environment, in the landscape by the architect. So this question is about the role of architect and architecture. So the architect is like a sort of contemporary demiurge. So I was wondering, what if the space, the environment, with all the data that are present in the environment, like for example, a urban environment that creates its own structure, its own buildings. What is the most important thing today? The role to preserve the creativity of the artist, of the designer, of the architect, or let the communities build their own buildings, their own functional buildings.
This is very, very important for me. And speaking with the students a few hours ago, I was telling them how much important is that we act like bridges. We act like somebody that is bringing all our creativity to inspire the creativity of other people, all our knowledge to inspire the curiosity of other people. And the profession of an architect is very, very much, if you want, a compromise between our personal ego and the capability to see the ego of other people. For that reason, I'm very lucky. I'm a very lucky person. If you want to touch me, you become very lucky too. Because I have two offices. One is an atelier for myself where nobody is allowed to enter, because it's my space. It's a space where I go there to think and to experiment what I wanted to experiment, to challenge what are my most important topics, and a studio where I work with a lot of people, where I work with all my colleagues, where I meet a lot of clients, where I try to organize meetings and space to share experiences within each other. And this is my luck, because I know that when I am in one room, I'm thinking in a way for myself. When I am in another room, I'm dealing with other topics. And this is also the name of the exhibition that I'm holding here in Hong Kong. It's called The Room I'm In, because the room, the environment in which I am, is very influential with my mind, with my passions, with my dreams, with my aims.
Just the final topic is about the future, because we are now living, or we will soon live, in a so-called post-humanism era, in which the society will include more and more elements that are not natural beings, but they still contribute to structure the society. And so how do you think that architecture will deal with these new entities? And do you think that artificial intelligence could be a tool that help architects?
You know, every morning I wake up, I tell myself, the most courageous act that I can do is to be optimistic. To be pessimistic is it should be prohibited. Should be prohibited to be pessimistic, because if you are pessimistic, you don't see the real value and the real use that you can do for what we do. I believe that we have a wonderful range of possibilities now that are also the technological that we have. And that we have to be careful, because everything that has to be pessimistic and not to be, everything that we have, every tool that we have can be transformed in a dangerous tool. But essentially, they are very positive tools. So we have to find out the optimistic side of reality, to make the optimistic side of the reality our behave in the life. And this is my system, the modality in which I try to foresee the future, and I try to foresee also the use of these, I would say, wonderful tools that we can use in the future.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Perhaps we move some questions to Steve. Steve, you are a very successful designer with numerous award-winning projects. Now, you started as an architect and then you move on to interior design. And we know that there are sometimes, architecture and interior design cannot be separated. And we sometimes refer this as a spatial design as such. Share with us your views on the philosophy on the architecture equal environmental installation. Today, the topic, the equation. How do you think it could be applied to Hong Kong? Because Hong Kong is really a concrete jungle, as we said. And what do you think are the challenges?
Lola. I start with an Italian. That's the only word I know. Okay, I think this is a very good question for me, but in fact, it is almost like exactly the question that I want to put it to Michele, but we'll discuss it later. I think the visit of Michele to Hong Kong at this point of time is exactly the right time, because as you all know, Hong Kong, starting from a fishing village, probably more than 100 years ago, and has undergone tremendous rapid transit metropolitan city. And like all other countries, Hong Kong is facing a lot of challenges. One of the challenges is to balance the conservation, nature conservation, and also economic development. So that's why Hong Kong is a small place. And then we are sort of land, and the government is always finding ways of seeking new possible land for building and development. So that's why we have big projects. We have now the Northern Metropolis project. I don't know, Michele, you heard about this. So in Hong Kong, we have Hong Kong Island, we have the Kowloon Peninsula, and we have the new territories. And development used to concentrate more in the urban areas, and the new territories are considered as the back garden of Hong Kong, where we have a lot of paddy fields, we have fish ponds, and the population is relatively less dense than the urban areas. Although we still have new towns around the new territories. But in order to find new development possibilities, opportunities, the government has decided to have a big plan to develop the Northern New Territories area, and we call it Northern Metropolis. And there's always a fight between, the government and the environmental protection people, saying that what is the challenge between development or the conflict between development and also nature protection or conservation. I really inspired by your presentation about earth stations, temporary structures with different aspects of consideration for different, design. But I think Hong Kong is very different from Europe or the rest of the world. I'm happy to have a very brief conversation with Michele before this presentation. Michele is not stranger to Hong Kong. He has been invited to Hong Kong, also by the Hong Kong Design Center, to attend the BODW forum, probably twice. And he probably knows a little bit about, the urban structure, the situation of Hong Kong. I don't know whether you have also have the opportunity of visiting China, especially near Hong Kong. And now we have the Greater Bay Area, GBA, that includes 9 cities and 2 special administration areas, including Hong Kong and Macau. So I think we are having a big opportunities of reviewing what we should do for the future in the development of Hong Kong and also including the Greater Bay Area for the next generation. So I think it's important for us to rethink and to see what is the right direction for development versus and sustainability. I think you really bring up a very good point about this in your presentation. So I really like to hear what.
I'm not so presumptuous to have the recipe how to do it, but I can say that it's very important, especially with in such a situation like this. I think is unique in the world. There is no other places in the world in which is happening so much under a city a region development as is happening now here in this area, and this is very much a challenge. I think that yes, we should include this concept of transformation, because in any case, everything that we do is going to participate to a general transformation that will go on even in the future. So we should use diplomatically, I would say, because diplomacy is very important. You know, we are able to cooperate because we are able to understand each other. And if we are not able to cooperate, if we are not able to understand each other, it's finished. It's a war. It's a disaster, as unfortunately is happening somewhere in the world. So I believe that diplomacy, and to explain how transformation is important, and how everything that is going to transform and to be transformed again will be the successful point. Without transformation, we will not participate to the evolution of the world. So if Hong Kong and all the area around wants to be protagonist of the future, should consider that it should be the energy transforming the way of living, the way of understanding, the way of looking to each other in the next future. Without transformation, there is no evolution. Simply that.
Thank you for your inspiring answer. I think I get some keywords from what you have just said, transformation. But transformation is not just overnight, so it has to be over a certain period of time. So I think it's important that you mentioned also the word balance in your presentation. I think the concept of balance is very much, in the Chinese philosophy. So it has to be the balance between human and the environment, and also between people, culture, and things like that. So Hong Kong is a place where East meets West. So it's a very good, ideal place for we to bring in new concept from the West, and then we try to understand the local culture and do something really, really.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful.
Yes.
Yes, balance is very important, but we have to always to consider that balance is not stable.
No.
Balance is a way to move, and is a way to keep balance continuously, unbalancing and balancing. When we walk, we are unbalancing our body in front of us, and we repair immediately with a new step. And this is the way we have to walk. We have to proceed walking, as well as we do when we do a normal walk around where we live.
Right, I totally agree with you. But sometimes when we walk, we tend to make mistakes, but doesn't mind. There's no problem, right? So we just rectify ourselves.
If you repair immediately.
Yes, and then we just keep on going, right?
Yes. I think that humanity is wonderful. We have a lot of chances. We have a lot of wonderful challenges that we have to transmit to the new generation, because it's the new generation that will use our way of thinking, of producing, of imagining a reality. And we have to give them something more than what we received. This is my trouble, to give the new generation more opportunities than not those that I got in my young, early time. We cannot give give to the new generation a world that is collapsing, even under sentiment point of view, under an emotional point of view. We have to bring positive emotions to young people, and it's so easy today to be negative and to think in a pessimistic way. It's so easy to get depressed. I have 4 children, and I know how much challenges they have, how much troubles they feel in reality, and this is not a good mental attitude. Is wrong.
So understanding is very important, but for me, I think understanding, to have good understanding between two parties, you need respect, you need trust, and most of all, you need love. So I think we got all of them.
Respect,
trust, and love.
I will keep this in mind. Thank you. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you very much. It's a very fruitful discussion. Now we still have some time. I'll invite audience from the floor. If you have any questions that you want to seize this opportunity to ask Michele. Yes.
Testing. Thank you. I have a curiosity about your speech. And you were a radical architect, and you lived the freedom of expression era. And which is the legacy you carry with you during all your transformation and evolution, and something that you never leave?
Yes. No, yes, radical architecture was a wonderful time. I tell you, I was always very lucky in my life. And one of the most lucky events was to go to study in Florence. That was a provincial university in Italy, just in the moment in which Florence was the most updated and innovative university in Italy, and in the world in some way, because radical architecture is very well known and is often one reference for architects around the world. And in Florence, I met several architects that they were dealing about the problem, how much influential is imagination. And imagination is a very essential part of architects and designers and artists too. And imagination is the way in which we deal with our client at the beginning of every relation. And if we are able to diffuse a good imagination of what we think about our dreams, that's great. In the lift in my office, I wrote a panel in front of the mirror. Mostly of the lift, they have a mirror inside. In the middle of the lift, in the middle of the mirror of the lift in my practice in Milano, I've written a message to my colleagues, to my collaborators, and I said, don't give to the client what they ask for. Give them what they've never been able to dream about. Because dreaming is much more important than not to rationalize your need. Needs is something that everybody can do, but if you are able to push forward and to go to a place in which you really would love to go, that is the destiny, and that is the destination of every project.
Any more questions from the floor? Yes.
Thank you for the amazing lecture, and it was very inspiring to me. And something I've observed from all your projects and design is that it's very adaptable, and yet a lot of time it's also deeply rooted in the local context. So I wanted to know, when you are designing, how do you balance these two, or the middle ground between adaptability and also the local context? Thank you.
Yes. I fully agree with you. The context is fundamental, and you have to be very much aware about the context, because everything that is out of the context is wrong. Simply that. And if you wanted to use the context also in a more challenging way, because you can use the context also to challenge, to experiment something new. Everything that is simply consistent is not enough today. Has to be consistent, but has to be more than consistent, because otherwise you don't afford something innovative. And that's is why I believe that we can use also wonderful landscapes, wonderful natural landscape, to build up environmental stations, environmental installations. The word installation is very important, because when you say installations, means that you do something for a limited time, is an installation. So you use what already the resources that are available. You're not using resources that are not rebuildable afterwards. So installation is a wonderful concept, and I tell you, we need to build. Humanity is done by building, and even our ancestors 40,000, 50,000, 90,000 years ago, they used to build. They used to create small shelters, because we need shelters. We need a space in which to recognize ourselves. So we will build. The solution of the environmental questions without building is a wrong answer. This is not only to create a good mood in architects, but it's because it's a reality. We will go on to build. We need buildings, and we need an environment for humanity. So we have to create environments in a way that we use as less resources as possible, and is, as we said before, is transformable for next transformational requests. You know, also today in the contemporaneity, everything that we see that is flexible, that is movable, that is easy to see in different ways and to use in different ways is much more modern, is much more contemporary than everything that is rigid, that is blocked in one situation, that is no usable in different way. We have inside ourselves the perception of what is contemporary, because it's flexible, because it's adaptable, and we always separate within ourselves to what is rigid, it will become an obstacle to evolution.
Thank you, Mr. De Lucchi. We'll take one last question. The gentleman in the front.
Maestro, may I bring up this question for both yourself and Mr. Nell? There's one topic that we haven't heard much today, this afternoon, is the idea of nationalism. I think you have an Earth station. You have come to another Earth station, which is Hong Kong. And we have around us China, Japan. Can we hear a little bit from both of you? How important to define your Earth station as to how much of your life in Italy and around your experience marks the design of your work. And Steve, for you and for our students, how important it is for us to say, this is Hong Kong, this is China, this is Japan, plus, plus, plus. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, I think that a way to define architecture is to make solid stuff. That means objects, that means buildings, that means environment, solid stuff, to be able to face events. Events and objects, as well as buildings, are the two topics for an architect. How to make everything that is tangible, working with the events that we are going to face in the future. That is also why I love events. For example, to make it more clear, events like Expo are are wonderful, because you know what Expo are. I think that we are not enough conscious about how beautiful the concept of Expo is in the world. Expo is an organization that is based in Paris. It's an organization that is overlooking the planet, and they are creating a competition, I think every 5 years, in which they ask to the world population, to all the nations of the planet, to face a problem of today, and to say, give me a topic, give me a problem of today, and give me a way out to face this problem together with all the other nations of the world. So that's the reason why, for example, in Milano, the topic was to feed the planet. How can we feed the planet in the future? Or the topic in Osaka next year will be how we can create a better society for the future. Or in Dubai, I think it was how can people connect together? Topic of this, and this is a wonderful way in a peace time to face the problem of humanity. And tell me, which is the most universal way to talk and to connect each other about one problem of humanity? There's no other way. This is why expos are so wonderful, so fantastic, and so much experimentation opportunity to see, to meet other nations, to meet different cultures together, to different approach to reality, different. And look, in the expo, we create wonderful pavilions. Really, some pavilions are really wonderful. And every pavilion is an architecture, is a temporary architecture because it lasts for 6 months or a few times more. And it's a beautiful way to build something new, experiment something that has never been experimented, and to call everybody in the world to come there and to see this and to talk about that, and to create an event in which we can experiment and we can just challenge our opinions. That's why Expo is so important for me, and I would like to have one Expo everywhere, somewhere in the world, because it's a beautiful way also to experiment peace, because peace is our capability to talk each other, to share our opinions. And if we don't have opportunity to do that, we are just looking to what's horrible is happening in the world.
To answer your question, I think for people who know us, in our company, we have a motto: design without boundaries. Design, obviously, including architecture. To me, architecture is an art. It is something for the ultimate advancement of humanities. So I don't see we have any boundaries between countries. Humanity probably is only about for the betterment of human life. And also, we respect other countries' culture. We learn from each other. We learn from Italy. We probably exchange ideas with our Asian neighbors, including Japan, Korea, Philippines or Korea. And then I think for me, we have the same target. We really want to build a better future for our next generation through advancement of architecture, which covers not only the physical architecture, but also the mental architecture and the infrastructure, everything. So we have different culture, which is good because we have a choice between and learn from each other, and then we can through exchange of ideas, and then which is I think is more interesting than just a mono culture.
Thank you. Respect, trust, and love.
A wonderful conclusion.
Wonderful.
A wonderful conclusion.
Thank you.
It is a pity that time has flown by so quickly. Once again, thank you so much, Mr. De Lucchi, Mr. Leung, Ms. Fetagangeli, and Dr. An for the wonderful sharing. And thank you all for coming. Especially thank you all for the questions. Now, with all guests, please remain on stage. We will take a group photo first. Let's give a round of applause to all esteemed panelists and to Mr. De Lucchi for giving us such a wonderful time. And thank you all for joining us today. We hope you have enjoyed the event. Please stay tuned with HKDI for more inspiring events in the future. Thank you.